the top 10 hottest comic books of the week based off of cover prices data. Now we do this a little bit differently. A lot of channels will dive into it the day it comes out. We are a Friday show. We like to talk about the overall news in comic book geek culture, all of that stuff. So we don't really dive into it on Tuesday. We dive into it now. We'll give you the top 10 here, but Chris is going to dive into his favorite 3 picks of that top 10 and give a little bit more detail. So here we go. Again, this is based on cover prices sales data. Based on sales, this is not speculation. This is data off of eBay and other sites that have sold these books. So at number 10, we have Strange Academy #1. That is a hot book that has not left this top 10 list, I think, in 2 or 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Number 9 is Strange Academy #1 second printing. Number 8 is Ultimate Fallout. Number 4, speaking of a hot book, this has not left in months. Number 7 is The Empty Man #1. Number 6 is Catwoman #23, the Chul Lee variant. 5 is Crisis on Infinite Earths #4. Number 4 is Venom #26, the first appearance of Virus. Number 3 is Catwoman 23, the regular cover. Number 2 is New Avengers #7. And number 1 is Venom #25. I mean, Null is just hot, as well as Venom, but Null is just hot, hot, hot. So, Chris, what do we have for the 3 that you like to dig in deep and give the audience a little bit more detail?
All right. So, again, awesome books. Love seeing Miles Morales still up there. Absolutely. And we have some books that, like you said, have been hanging around for multiple weeks. That's awesome. The first book I want to talk about is Empty Man #1. Another Boom Studio success. Boom Studio is just, with their deals that they've cut to bring a lot of their titles to live action series and cinema. They are just, man, there's multiple, or loads, should I say, of speculation on, runs from Boom Studio that aren't even announced yet because we think that they're just going to keep coming. And this is another one. The Empty Man film adaptation is being set to be released in December now. It originally was going to have an August release. Obviously, everything's getting pushed back. But this is a story that's a mixture of, like murder, mystery, detective story with supernatural entities. So a lot of fun stuff going on. I think this is going to be an absolute, if not huge dollar amount success in the box office. I think it's going to have that cult classic following for sure. And when you talk about the book, again, it's hot. People want this stuff. So if you're looking at Boom Studio, anything with a #1 on it that hasn't been announced yet, maybe go grab that up if you like speculating on independent books. So that's my first book. And again, I always give love seeing the independent books in these top 10. My second book to talk about is Venom 26. So Venom, Donny Cates, again, just doing so much amazing things. The first thing I want to talk about, or why I like that this book is up here, is for one, because Donny Cates, I think, has really brought in a storytelling formula that is really speaking to all different types of people. We all know, especially with Marvel, over the last probably 10 years now almost, there's been a lot of divisiveness where, a lot of older heads are like, oh, comics aren't what they used to be. It's this and it's that. And I'm not going to dive into all that right now, but I will say Donny Cates is uniting the fandom. So let's put that out there. Big credit to Cates. Secondly, I want to talk about this because it goes back to something I talked about last week where, we saw Venom 25, which is being considered the first cameo appearance of Virus. So here's Venom 26, the first full appearance. I stated last week, because 26 wasn't around on the top 10, I said, look, here's another situation where the market is dictating what it wants, and people are still going after a cameo more than they're going after a full. But maybe it's just not caught on. Maybe the market will shift. Is that what's going on here? Are buyers now saying, well, shoot, now that I've done more research and the 26 is the first full appearance, I'm going to go after that. So obviously, #1, Venom 25 is still there. So I don't think that's everything that's going on. But hey, both books are up there. Donny Cates, regardless, I'm just happy to see the success here. All right, guys. Now, number one is super cool because I just scored this book for pennies, basically. And sometimes us, that do speculate on books, it's fun when you feel like you scored. Man, I'm telling you. But I'm talking about New Avengers #7, the first appearance of the Illuminati in Marvel Comics. Now, this is a fun one to me because we didn't break the news, but we covered the news of the rumors of the Illuminati possibly showing up in some form or fashion in the MCU at some point. I think Jeff and I both discussed how this would be an amazing idea. There's so much they could do with it. But here's again, these are the stepping stones that I talk about when it comes to speculating based on movie or live action MCU hype in this instance. This is a rumor of all rumors, right? So let's take, for example, Illuminati. I just stated talking about Steinfeld with the Hawkeye casting that this is the closest thing we have to confirmation outside of coming from the mouth of Marvel Studios or Disney themselves. I do believe that the new Avengers or the Illuminati announcement isn't even at that level yet. It's still speculatory rumor, but yet this book is getting really hot. So we're in that kind of first stage of speculation. When we get closer, because if somebody like Illuminati says, look, I am confirming this is true, it's going to get even hotter. And then once we get that confirmation from a Kevin Feige or a Marvel Studios exec or whoever it may be, that's when it's going to take off. So if you guys can get this book for, under $20 right now, and you have the $20 to spend and you're into speculating and you like Illuminati or the new Avengers, I recommend, picking it up. It could indeed be a good investment for the future. But again, speculate at your own risk, right?
Definitely. That's all amazing detail. One thing I will say, though, I'm loving the independents, getting some love here on the top 10 list. We've seen quite a few in the past few weeks. But if you guys are looking to speculate to flip, in my opinion, it's not a good idea to do that with a villain because a villain is just going to kind of go by the wayside. Am I right? Well, here's the thing. They're not going to be as consistent and sought after as your hero.
Very, very interesting. I'm not disagreeing here, but I love that you brought this up. This is great. I love when things are brought up where it can really entice different opinions. This is a very interesting thing, I think, to speculate on itself. You take an example of Venom, right? Who's one of the hottest villains ever. To one point, you can counter that and say, no, look at Venom. And to another point, you're right. Let's give an example of Miles Morales. I mean, who can name off the top of their head any of Miles Morales' main villains? I mean, I can. I've never been too deep into the character. So there's validity in what you say. So it's a very good thing to bring up because I think it's really a hit or miss with that. I think the lack of consistency with villains sometimes may strengthen that first appearance because it makes their appearances maybe a little more rare. But to your point, right, a lot of villains, we do see once and then they disappear for a few years, whatever, and we don't see them again. So I do think it's very valid to say that hype, especially with new books, when we're talking about new books and these new villains, I think there's a lot of thought to be put into that because you're right. People are speculating hard on things right now. And if that villain, just kind of disappears and, isn't, if we don't see him again in a few months and they're brought into another good storyline, it could definitely die off. So yeah, that's a very good thing to ponder, I think.
Let me rephrase. I think your chances are for a villain versus superhero, you have a higher chance with the superhero. Now with the villain though, there are outliers like Venom who are super popular that ended up becoming an anti-hero he is a hero. But then you have what's going on with Null right now. That's an outlier. That's insane, right? So putting stock into Virus, the first appearance of Virus in Venom #26. I don't know. I mean, who knows? Yeah. Will he be another Null? I can't. He's like a B-lister compared to Null in terms of being part of his army or what have you. So
right.
I don't know. That's I wanted to rephrase that.
Absolutely. And I think this really speaks to the new modern books. It's a good point too, because I think the speculation around virus has a lot to do with Donny Cates in general. And
Yeah.
I think Venom is already
Yeah.
hot because of Null. So, if Null never happened and Donny Cates wasn't getting hyped for multiple different runs right now, would virus even be as hot as he is? So very good points. I do want to add one last thing too. I think what you're saying is very, very relates very much to those current books. I don't want to say modern, but the current
Yeah.
books.
Yeah.
Whereas if we talk specifically about maybe say Bronze Age books or even Silver Age books, and we talk about movie hype,
Yes.
I think that's a bit different still.
Yeah.
So kind
And
of
then
definitely
I'll
want to
leave
put
it
your errors
here.
in context.
If Null is ever even close to being sniffed around a movie screen, that book,
Yeah.
goodbye. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's already goodbye. Like, it's right now. It's like, whoa, I can't reach that one right now.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting. But anyways, so that is our top 10 hottest comics of the week.